Welcome to Spiritual Warrior TV and Podcasts, your go-to channel for everything related to spirituality, metaphysics, personal development, and well-being. I'm your host, Renzo Ruiz Haas, and I'm on a journey myself, as a truth seeker and as an explorer, to discover and to share with you all the best tips, tools, and different approaches that contribute to nourish our souls, embrace our humanity, and help us incarnate the greatest and brightest expression of ourselves. Because when we become better versions of ourselves, we make this world a better place. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, my next guest, he's a comedian and a psychic, mixing them both together and revealing the cosmic joke. Without further ado, I want to introduce my brother, Kyle Lipton. What's up, my man?
Yo,
Welcome
what's
to the
up,
show.
bro? Thanks, man. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm happy to have you here, brother. Let's jump right into it. One thing I really
Let's
love
do
about
it.
you, man, it's your expression. You actually planted a seed in my soul to be able to express myself in a more raw way. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I'm not where
Thanks,
I'm not
man.
at your level yet,
That's
but I say, like, I've been peeling
that's
a lot of
awesome, man.
layers. I've been peeling a lot of layers about myself. So yeah, thank you
That's
for that,
amazing.
brother.
My pleasure, and that's so awesome to hear. I think I was talking about this yesterday. It's like when we're free inside of ourselves, meaning when we're just able to express freely and just be ourselves freely, it's so much easier to manifest things because you're not fighting against any part of yourself to create something. And yeah, it's been a journey for me, the journey of expression and expressing myself. And I think that's the journey we're all on at some level.
Oh, for sure, definitely, and we can see it, in our systems. Just how our systems are made out of secrecy.
Mm.
There's secrecy at many levels of our system, and it's kind of like we're shredding with light through all those layers of, like,
Yeah.
pretending and playing roles. And it's just
Yeah.
like, by expressing ourselves, we're kind of like expanding our souls more.
Yeah. Yeah. The way I think about it is like if the world was just one body that still isn't fully expressed. So the secrecy, like, the things you're referring to is some part of like that one big body that hasn't been brought to light yet. And that's, all the people kind of like little Christmas lights, like one person's lighting up, another person's lighting up, and then the whole body is just fucking
Yeah.
lit.
Exactly. No, for sure. Like, as within, so without; as above, so below. We can see that, whatever's happening inside
Sure.
ourselves, we can see it reflecting in our systems and the way our societies function. And
For
yeah.
sure. Yeah. Yeah. I had this download not too long ago that the government was reflecting back to us our own victimhood, like where we put so much of our power outside of ourselves, because, and this is just an example, but I saw this meme on Instagram, and the meme said, if the whole world refused to pay their taxes, what would the government do?
Yeah.
And whether you agree with that statement or not, I don't care, but really it speaks to how much power we actually have when we're collectively bought into dreaming a new dream.
That's true, and we often don't realize the power we actually have as people. And like, I just wrote
For
an
sure.
article about this recently, like how our money is the way we can vote. Wherever
Yeah,
we
you vote with your
wherever our
dollar.
money goes, wherever we put our money, that actually, creates a lot more impact than we can believe.
Yeah, and maybe it's even more impactful than actual voting, because you're
Yeah, like,
basically saying,
honestly, no bullshit, man. Voting to me is an illusion.
yeah, I've kind of gone back and forth with it. I don't know where I stand on it.
Yeah,
It's an
that's just
interesting
my
thing.
opinion, though. But
No, for
what
sure.
do you think about that, though? You think
I think
voting actually does something?
I think it So yes, and yes, and I don't know. I don't know, meaning like I don't know. I've had thoughts like, does voting actually do anything? Is this all just preconceived? Um, but I think on another level, we're casting a vote energetically to a new version of ourselves, to a new version of Earth. Whether the vote actually counts or not, someone saying like, "Hey, I believe in this. I'm going to take action on it," still is creating some sort of ripple effect. So, for example, let's say gay marriage that was illegal, and then everyone casts a vote and like, you know what, this is bullshit. Then as soon as people start doing that, the world starts to shift. So whether it actually does anything in terms of the number counting, I think it's powerful in the sense that it can be used as like an energetic vote towards what it is that you want to create. But there's plenty of ways to vote, like you said, with your dollar and so many things.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah.
100% agree with that. One thing I found recently is, well, not recently, since this Corona thing has been happening,
Yeah.
is that, you know, we've been polarizing things like crazy. You know, like
Mm.
we're really quick at throwing labels at people like, oh,
Yeah.
anti-mask or anti-this.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
it creates like a huge gap where,
Yeah. I agree.
everyone is just so getting a more narrow view of our
Yeah.
world
Yeah.
based on those labels like, you know, Democrats, whatever,
Yeah.
Republicans, or left, right wing, all this stuff.
Yeah. I completely agree. And it's like the old political term, it's like divide and conquer. So what's happening is people are playing into a deeper trap. The deeper trap is, in the name of unity, I'm going to create more divisiveness, right? Which you can't fight your way into peace. That level of consciousness will only create more division. So for example, whether you're masked or no mask, fighting each other on it is basically playing into the illusion of the same thing that you actually don't want, which is you want unity, but you're acting in ways that are disharmonious. I need to fight to keep everything in order, which is still control, which then at some point, even if you control it, everything's going to pop off because the foundation of the house is unstable. It's like trying to build, what is the term? Trying to build a house trying to build a house of cards. I forget the phrase, but basically just having a shitty foundation for your house.
Yeah. But yeah, exactly. I agree 100%. And people don't realize that, you can still express your point of view without labeling someone as something, without like, you know,
Yeah.
without creating a bigger gap. You can just express your ideas without imposing them on someone. And
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the real game, man, is it's like, can we disagree?
can we
How,
agree to disagree?
yeah. And how
Yeah,
free are you to where I can disagree with your opinion, but still love you?
exactly. That's something that I think this is kind of like a challenge for everyone, that like
Mhm. For sure.
to just realize that just because we have differences in opinion, it doesn't mean that you're not my brother, or I don't like you. It
Right.
doesn't have anything to do with that.
We're still
'Cause
one and the same.
exactly, we are not our opinions.
I agree. Yeah. Well said.
Hmm. Yeah, man, it's been quite the ride. It's been quite the ride and a challenge for everyone right now. Uh,
Yeah.
Ups and downs,
2020.
but I feel like right now it's just, everything is like calming down. But I don't
Yeah.
know if it's the calm before the storm or
Yeah. I think we're all in our own different universes, to be
yeah.
honest. Like some person could be, for example, in some ways, 2020 has been one of the best years of my life, one of the most amazing years of my life. And I can say that like no bullshit. And has it had its fair share of challenges? For sure. My dad died in February. Like I moved, like so many things have happened, but also it's been such an amazing year and been very fruitful in a lot of ways. And I've come out with my gifts in other ways. And so I think it's also just a matter of, you know, maybe you run into someone at the store and they're like, life's tough, right? In the moment when you say yes or no, you're buying into a collective belief right there. Is life tough, or is that just your experience? Are all guys bad, or is that just your experience? And the more we can validate, like stop validating, you can validate someone's reality without saying this is the truth with a capital T. And I think what happens is we're like, okay, 2020 is crazy. And for sure it has been in a lot of ways, but also what do I want to make out of 2020? What am I dreaming up 2020 to be? What am I creating it to be? And I think that's, in a sense, what 2020 is inviting us into, is to be able to come back into being a conscious creator of our lives and stop playing victim, because then there's people who are like, when's 2020 going to be over? Oh my God. And what I know to be true is, if you think this shit is just going to blow over and everything's just going to go back to normal, you are crazy, with all due respect, because consciousness is like tearing we're sweeping everything up under the rug. We're not about to just put it all back under the rug.
No.
So it's
because the system is just it's not based on authenticity. It's not based on transparency and all this stuff. And if you don't have solid foundations, at one point it's going to crumble. But it's going to be for the better. I think something better is going to be born out of this.
Yeah, I completely agree, man. And if you're on the wave right now of being transparent and being vulnerable, you are ahead of the time. And this time probably won't be as rocky for you because you're not getting all of your shit pulled up right now, and you've dealt with some of it back then. And even if it's all coming up right now, it's okay, but just realize that the path is more authenticity and more vulnerability. And the more you resist it, the harder the ride's going to be.
Right. No, for sure. And the more I remove the mask, the more I put on the hat, HATT. Honesty, authenticity, transparency, and truth. That's...
Say that again?
The more I remove the mask, the more...
Yeah.
Not the more I remove that mask. I don't know. I just, that information just came... And I start putting the hat, HATT. Honesty, authenticity, transparency, and truth.
Yeah.
And that's something
Nice.
I've been feeling the call to do more and more. Just express more truth, more authenticity, kind of like be myself more. And it sounds like easy, but it is a challenge. Not so much anymore. It's becoming easier and easier as I do it,
Yeah. I found for me, and I can't say I'm perfect at it, but like the switch has flipped for me in a way where I'm feeling more inspired to express myself than not, because I know the upside of expressing myself. And I know like that is the only way I'm going to be able to create the life that I really want, because I'm the ingredients, and I have to express all of myself to manifest the reflection of all of myself, which is abundance, which is, awesome family, friends, love, whatever. And it's just joyful. It's scary sometimes, but it's joyful to express yourself so raw, where people can just see you and you're just bare. Like that place where someone could totally fucking just get you because you're so raw, but also can totally feel you because you're so raw.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Like, I understand completely what you're talking about. I understand what you're talking about.
Understand
it. Yeah. What's your... Fuck. Yeah, so there you go. What do you think is the best way for people to start embodying more truth? More like to express themselves more?
That's funny, because I had a company called Embodied Truth LLC. That's hilarious. Start small. Start small. When you're at the cashier and they say, how's your day going? Don't just say good and be on autopilot. If your day is going good, do that. But I remember I went to a cashier one time and they're like, how's your day going? I was like, it's pretty shitty. And it like snaps people out of their own just autopilot mode. And
we don't realize this. We don't realize this, but a lot of us function in autopilot. Hey, how's it going? Oh, I'm good. Yourself, like, just it's automatic. It
Yeah.
comes out. Like you can be
Yeah.
having a shitty day, but most of the people are gonna be like, "Yeah, good, thank you."
Yeah.
And how are
And
you?
realize too,
Although they don't give a fuck about how you doing. Like, and how are you?
yeah. And it's like starting small in that way, but also starting small in, have you ever met someone and just because you're kind of nervous or you're in a conversation, you just start saying shit you don't even really care about or want to say, like, oh, what do you think about the weather? It's really cool outside,
Yeah, like
right? And
small
you're like,
talk.
yeah, it's really cool. You're like, yeah. And my invitation is, have a moment where maybe if you feel the impulse to talk, but it doesn't feel true for you, you feel like you're just people pleasing, be in silence for a minute, like sit in that discomfort. And then maybe ask a question that's more true. And what you're going to notice is you'll instantly start to become more present because you're in more truth. And when we're in truth, we don't have to have all these tabs open in our brain, and we can just naturally be more present because we're not worrying or micromanaging ourselves, our personality, how we're showing up, our mannerisms, the questions we're asking, and we're just able to be honest. And yeah, and it's refreshing. It's really refreshing, and it can be scary to some people because they've never had someone who just actually is having an honest conversation with them.
That's true, man. That's true. And yeah, no, I've been guilty of that myself. Small talk.
Oh, same here.
Like, you know, you're somewhere, there's like an awkward silence, and you're like, yeah, so fuck,
The
how's
news, hey, yeah,
yeah, how's what? But I don't know. I feel like I'm good with that now. I like jumping straight up into the real shit. And you can't
same
always do it because I mean, some people are not ready to have this
for
type of
sure.
conversations. And whenever
Yeah,
that happens, I just like accept it as well. And you
yeah,
know, like you said, keep that silence. And it's like I'm feeling more comfortable in my silence now
that's
too.
everything. That is everything. Because as soon as you're comfortable in your silence, it's not scary. Because really, what are we scared of? Sometimes in awkward moments, we're scared to just like be in the silence.
Yeah.
Not scared to be in the silence. It's not as weird to not talk and be awkward in those moments, or not say, and you're actually more empowered in that moment.
You are definitely. Yeah,
Mm.
I could see it back when on my first episode. Like I was so I was so afraid of like those moments of silence. You know.
Yeah. Oh, I
Eh,
started a podcast when I was like 18, and I remember I had guests on, and
18. Man,
yeah.
18. I was like kicking cans in the streets and shit. I like
Oh, oh, fuck the
respect, man.
cans. Huh?
I was like, you know, I was lost at 18. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing with my life. So respect for that. 18. That's pretty young.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, we all have our own paths, so it's like
Yeah.
I don't think one's better than the other. But
But I think like the newer generations, they're like doing
yeah,
stuff like younger and younger. You got
I
like
agree.
last time I saw a video of this like 12-year-old girl. She already started her. She was already a millionaire, starting her
Wow,
business. You know, like
wow,
wow.
insane. Yeah, there's so much opportunity out there, and really, when you're just in that space of I'm just going to fully express myself, everything just gets easier. It's that initial feeling of like mm, fear, but then once you start to see the benefits of it, everything starts to get easier. And I can't say I'm perfect and I'm always fully expressing myself in every moment, but I know that's the direction that I'm going. And that to me is exciting to just think about the possibilities that could come from just fully expressing yourself and dreaming up a bigger version of yourself instead of, thinking or cognizing a small self that's afraid, that's doesn't want to express yourself, and just choosing to understand yourself a little differently.
Yeah, though definitely, man. There's one thing I recently found out about you
Mm.
because I've been stalking you. Like before, you know, talking to you, I kind of been stalking your profile a little bit, stuff.
Oh, dope.
Hope you don't mind. Hope you don't mind.
Oh, I'm flattered.
Cool. Um, is that you've done ayahuasca on national TV?
Oh yeah, man. That
That's
was
fucking amazing, man. Tell
oh
me a
thanks.
little bit about that. How that happened?
So I was very interested in ayahuasca when I was younger, but I had never done any psychedelics besides smoke pot. And I was kind of in this experience of like, how would I explain it? Mm, fear, but also intrigue. Like I'm afraid to try this, but it also sounds really cool. Then I ended up trying DMT with a friend, and that was like my first ever psychedelic experience. It's like a 20-minute experience where you just blast off into another dimension.
Oh,
And it was super cool, but I was afraid at first. I backed out the first time, and that sort of popped my fear. Like I felt less afraid to die after that experience because I felt this feeling of I know what the other side is like.
yeah, same.
Yeah,
I know that feeling. It's
nice.
amazing.
It's yeah. And then someone posted about this opportunity to do ayahuasca on this TV show on MTV. And
Was it on MTV?
yeah, it's an MTV show called True Life.
Oh shit, huh?
Yeah.
Nice.
And a friend who's like this super magical dude tagged me in it, of course. And then, yeah, eventually I just got in talks with the people. I was on some Skype calls, and then they ended up calling me on my birthday to tell me I got it. And then I drove down to Mexico, and I got like this dope Ritz-Carlton experience. Like they had hyperbaric oxygen chambers, IV therapy, detoxing. Like it was so dope. And then I sat 3 nights with the medicine. So I was there for a week. And yeah, it was amazing, man. I definitely controlled a lot. I definitely resisted it a lot. It was such a scary experience for me at the time. I was I was 19 or 20. I think, no. Yeah, I was 19. And it was an experience for me that was life-changing, eye-opening. Yeah, and it was nothing I'd ever experienced before.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing, man.
Yeah, it was dope.
And where was it in Peru?
That was in Mexico.
Oh, in Mexico. Shit, okay.
Yeah, in Baja California.
Baja California. Damn,
Baja
brother.
California.
Baja California. How did you set? Because you said you were channeling the Pleiadians, right?
Yeah.
So how did that happen in your life?
Actually, give me 1 second. I just heard this message. We have a message to share with Renzo. So let me.
Please.
Yeah, I just heard Renzo contacts a lot of beings and he doesn't even know it.
Yeah, I I kind of had a clue.
Yeah. So, separate side note, but also a cool thing to play with. They came to me in a float tank experience, actually. Like, I've never really studied aliens. It's never been my jam in the sense that I want to learn about all this stuff. But the name came to me in a float tank. And then when I moved to New York, I told people, like, I talked to Pleiadians, I channeled Pleiadians, and then I got invited to lead be part of a workshop and do channeling. And it was like channeling was brought out of me, like my gifts publicly more. And it's an amazing experience. And I basically came out of the spiritual closet and started doing the channelings, which was super vulnerable because it was such a part of myself that I kept kind of in my close circles just because of the fear of looking crazy, the fear of looking weird, all the judgments that came up around it. And then as soon as I started doing the channelings on like live videos and people were like, oh my God, this is exactly what I'm going through, is when I felt even more excited to share. And yeah, the Pleiadians are such a gift, and they're very playful and very amazing wisdom keepers that remind us not to take things so seriously.
They do
like, it's
have a
all
nice sense of
but
humor,
nothing's
right?
important. Yeah. It's like everything's important, but nothing's important at the same time, and that they can exist simultaneously in the
Bro,
middle.
I
Yeah,
had that same message. Like everything's important, but nothing really is. Wow.
yeah.
It's crazy you're
And
saying this
in
because
that sweet spot.
yeah, no, say
What'd you say?
no, I was just saying it's crazy you saying this because on my experience too, And I don't know if it was the Pleiadians who they were, but they seemed kind of like blue,
Yeah.
and they were very playful too. You know, it's like they have a very good sense of humor, and like they look at us,
Yeah.
and they kind of looked at me with all my earthly problems, and they were
Yeah.
laughing like kind of
Yeah.
like that's a joke, you know. Nothing really matters, and yet everything does because we chose to live this experience.
Yeah. Have you ever so those the ones that you said are blue, they're blue avians. Do you know what have you ever heard of
Yeah, I
that?
heard of blue avians.
So what you're describing is blue avians. Pleiadians are gray.
Okay.
And yeah, it's that experience in the middle where it's like everything's important but nothing's important, where you can just fucking express yourself because none of it's that big of a deal.
Exactly, because in the end, when
But
we all
also,
die, none of this is gonna matter. Not even this conversation.
right.
It does.
Or, or maybe they'll play it on like a big screen with like aliens around
Fuck,
and we all
imagine
watch it
that,
with
man.
popcorn. That'd be dope too.
Fucking popcorn. Ah, that'll be dope. You think they
That'd
have
be,
popcorn
I
there on
saw,
the other side?
uh, shit, I
Yeah, we
hope
can
so, man.
manifest that shit. No problem, man.
We can manifest some
Yo.
popcorn. Fuck yeah. I don't know if we can manifest butter though, but the popcorn for sure.
Oh, yeah, we'll figure it out, man. We'll find something.
All right. Well, whenever we're both on the other side, I'll make sure to find you and be like, "Yo, you remember the popcorn from that podcast we talked
Sweet.
about? We
Yeah,
gotta do this."
I'll take your word on that, man. I'm gonna come. I'm gonna come look for you.
Hey, man, I will probably both be just hella omnipresent everywhere at the same time.
Yeah, it's gonna be confusing as fuck, though. Did you have that feeling though, where you're like, you connect with everything, and you kind of like everywhere but nowhere at the same time?
Where I feel like I'm everywhere but nowhere at the same time.
Yeah, it's like we're here, but at the same time we're operating at different levels and different dimensions that we're not even conscious of right now, but like we
Yeah,
are.
yeah. As you say that, I can feel it now. Where I don't know if this is the same experience, but where I feel like I'm doing something. I can feel right now I'm doing something elsewhere while I'm here. If that makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
Crazy.
yeah. So yeah, life's kind of cool like that.
Crazy shit, my man. Fuck, brother. Like, honestly, I didn't prepare much for you. It's gonna be a free flow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm down. Whatever you jam on, I'm game.
Let me get comfortable in this silence, brother.
All right.
All right. So tell me, man, what is your most recent expansion?
Hmm. My most recent expansion has been sovereignty,
Sovereignty.
and yeah, anywhere where I'm still codependent. So I had an experience where I was like triggered and just some stuff was going on with someone, but really that experience was such a blessing because it revealed to me where I was still codependent and placing my power outside myself.
Mm.
And I was like pissed. I was like, man, what the fuck? Like, I'm so angry about this. And I used that anger in a sense to bump up my desire to be sovereign and to just be in my own power. And in that experience, yeah, there was just a lot of expansion and it's still fresh. Like I'm still in it a little bit. Um, but to just be aware of when am I going to someone for advice that's like feeding codependency, or where am I going to someone for support that's feeding an energy that's actually not healthy,
That's
and
true.
to return that power back to myself. And if I am to get support from someone, I'd much rather get it from the place of feeling sovereign and feeling whole rather than displacing my power. And yeah, that's been a pretty big awakening for me. And just kind of realizing anywhere where I would feel like, man, reflecting on the past, like I showed up like a little fucking boy. Like, why was I asking this person for advice? Like, I could be giving this person advice. What am I doing right now? And just all these little awakenings that I've had with many moments, realizing, of course, I have compassion. They all served a purpose. They were all meant to happen because they did. And now I'm choosing to show up in my power and just going in the direction of sovereignty and being sovereign instead of placing my power in any outside force and
Awesome.
Making that more powerful than me.
Amazing, man.
Yeah. And even just being aware of your energy as you're asking for support or going for support. Like, how is same with relationships. Like right now, does it feel whole for me to, talk to my girlfriend or boyfriend in this way? Or do I feel like I'm giving them my power? And sometimes intellectually it'll make sense. Like, oh yeah, of course we're supposed to talk about this, but notice, like, what is my energy body doing? Do I feel like I'm, displacing my power? Do I feel kind of weaker after we interact? Or do I feel more whole and more powerful, more sovereign and more just loving and spacious? And that to me is the sweet spot. It's being aware of just how your energy is, what your energy is doing as you're interacting with someone, and then reeling it in when you notice yourself giving your power away and coming back to just your own authority.
Right. And it can be something very subtle, right? Because it happens at a
For sure.
subconscious level. We're not even conscious about it. And
for sure. Someone revealed to me before, I had this habit, and I still have said it sometimes, where I think at the end of the sentence I would say, does that make sense? And it was a subtle way where I'm still not owning my power completely, in the sense of saying, does that make sense? Well, why am I saying this? Why do I feel like people aren't going to understand me? Why don't I just reel it back in and just say my thing? And if they don't understand it, they can just tell me they don't understand it. Because I noticed I was saying it a lot, and it just wasn't, it was just like a subtle, like you said, a subtle energy drainer that wasn't helpful.
Right. Yeah. Does that make sense? Yeah. Because like kind of, it's looking for a outside validation. And I know I catch myself doing that as well.
Yeah. Yeah. A good one for me.
I have a big imposter syndrome, man. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, sometimes people like call me, "Oh man, you're a shaman." Like I'm not, man. I'm not a shaman. I don't feel like one.
Yeah. What do you mean imposters? Like what do you mean?
Like I feel that kind of like I don't deserve this greatness. Like I don't know. It's like I'm playing way above my level right now, and there's this little voice that tells me at times, like, what are you doing? Like, like you're not good enough for what you're doing. That type of voice.
Yeah.
And I've been learning to shut that voice down.
What's that?
I've been learning to like shut that voice down and kind of like, watch me, motherfucker.
Yeah,
and do it anyway.
And it's just fear, and all fear is doing is giving you contrast, right? So when fear gets louder, it means you're on your way to higher levels of greatness, because what's happening is your ego is trying to preserve itself. It's saying, oh my God, what can we do to make Renzo stop shining so bright, because it's threatening our survival. So we're going to say, oh, Renzo, what would your mom think if you posted this on Facebook? What's your family going to think if you share this? What's your friends going to think if you speak on this stage sharing this message? Oh, shit, what if you tell me talk to aliens and shit? And all of those things, it will get louder the closer you get to ascending. So flipping the script and being like, wow, that's actually a positive thing. because it's getting louder, it means the roots are getting taken out so that you can, it's like when you fully give yourself to it, those voices go away. But when you're kind of in that middle zone of like flirting with it, you're like, oh, all right, I'm going to go. Yeah. That's when it can get a little interesting. But what I've noticed is when I will like make a decision to fully express or die into something, my mind will get a lot more quiet, and those voices don't rule me anymore. I kind of look back at them like, oh, that's interesting. I used to believe that about myself.
And I realized something as well, that the more comfortable we are about like expressing a true, like speaking about stuff, aliens, ayahuasca, whatever, the more comfortable we are with it, the more people around us actually, they pick on that and they're like, oh, okay, like it's normal in his reality. So they're like, they don't pick on you as much, you know?
Yeah.
Well, this is something I'm experiencing right now. Like, you know, I got a lot of like hate comments and stuff, but not anymore as much. Like of course there's always going to be one or two there, you know,
for sure.
That's always going to be there, and who cares? But that's because I'm becoming more comfortable in my truth.
Yeah, exactly. And the world in the form of comments will reflect that. When I moved to New York, one of my intentions and things was to, and actually Lion inspired this in me because he was like very much this, was to talk about magic can't be normal unless we talk about it like it's normal.
True. And if you think about it, nothing in our society ever was normal until we start normalizing it. Is that a word? Normalizing it?
Yeah, normalizing.
Like, you know, like when you were talking about gay marriage and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Stuff like that. And as soon as people were talking about, okay, well, it's cool to, you know, accept gay marriage. And then it started becoming something people talk about. And at one point it was just, you know, legalized.
For sure.
Pretty damn cool.
And so when I moved to New York, what I was like expressing was, all right, I'm going to talk about the aliens. When people ask me what I do, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. So for example, I might have said I help people kind of like a life coach, but not really before. You know, let's say I'm in a conversation with an Uber driver, like, oh, so you're like a life coach? Like, no, I'm actually a psychic. And
like, in that moment, I feel that life coach is the new word to like kind of, no disrespect to all life coaches. There are like great life coaches out there for sure.
Yeah.
But I feel like I can throw a stone right now and hit a life coach.
Yeah, there's a lot of life.
I'll throw a rock out the window right now and I'll hit a life coach.
That's funny. Yeah, man. And you know, I bumped into a neighbor one time and he asked me what I did. I was like, oh yeah, I'm a psychic and a hypnotist, and I also do comedy. And you know, they're not expecting that kind of answer, but and I just kind of got amused and took joy out of like, I wonder how this person's going to react when I tell them I'm a psychic. Like it's kind of just funny because it's different. And it
is like actually that. The only one I know who does kind of like something similar to it is like JP Sears.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's awesome.
That's it. I don't know anyone else who does like comedy combined with, you know, spirituality or
like one other guy, Kyle Cease, but that's the only really.
Of course, he's a Kyle as well. There you go.
Of course.
Yeah. So no, what were you saying about the taxi driver and stuff?
Oh, just in general, just speaking about magic like it's normal.
Mm.
Oh yeah, I manifested this. Oh yeah, I'm psychic. Oh yeah, and talking about it like it's no big deal, because it's not a fucking big deal. You know,
it's not.
Or one of my friends broke down this word supernatural, and it's like supernatural. It's extremely natural. And these are supernatural abilities. They're just are inherently extremely natural abilities. And just because something isn't normal, you know, how much shit is normal right now that's actually fucked up?
Oh yeah, you know, fuck, 100%, man.
Companies doing shit.
Like how much shit was normal back then that right now, if you look at it, it's like, what the fuck was wrong with people?
For sure. Like I was having a conversation with a beautiful woman last night, and she was talking about, and so I don't know if you know it, it's in Native American culture, and I think also in shamanism, it's someone called the two spirit. And a
Yeah.
two spirit is someone, you've heard of it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, someone who maybe has that type of energy in this lifetime might get more backlash, for example. But those people back then were highly revered. And what's actually, I think if we look back in the ancients, we can see a lot of stuff that's actually natural and normal and also helpful to normalize in our society so that we can expand rather than, demonizing certain things, because if we look at history, like all the shit we're demonizing, there's probably someone who was doing it, or there's a whole culture who was doing the shit that everyone was saying was terrible. And it's just getting rid of the fear, man. It's going towards it. It's expressing yourself. It's processing all that stuff.
We like to stick to what's comfortable, to what's known, to the old patterns. Yeah. We and when I say we, I mean like our brains, because our souls they look to expand.
For sure.
But like our ego mind, if you want to call it that way, I don't know, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, you got it.
Like wants to stay stuck in old patterns and in what's comfortable.
100%. Yeah. Yeah. And just to clarify, because I know you understood the term, but I don't know if your audience does. So a two spirit is someone who the natives believed had the spirit of a man and a woman, like masculine and feminine. And they were like kind of extra capable of doing certain things. And I don't know if they like dated men and women or like hooked up with men and women back then, or if they were just revered as people that had both spirits, but that we all have masculine and feminine energy in us.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. Don't we all have that in a way?
Yeah, 100%. And some people are just more, I guess, comfortable in it, born like solid in it, and maybe there's some sort of destiny piece. I don't know. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's a fascinating thing to just think of how much power has been repressed just from society trying to normalize things that aren't actually natural.
Yeah, definitely. And I don't know, I call these energies of action, attraction. Some people call them masculine, feminine, but there's clearly like, one energy that's more in like the action and one that's kind of like attracting.
Yeah. Well, I think the way that I understand it, it's me receiving an inspiration as my feminine, and like,
right.
And we can misplace, we could use any word for it. So me receiving intuition and inspiration is my feminine energy, let's say, but then me acting on the inspiration to create the manifestation would be my masculine energy.
Exactly.
Or me just relaxing. Yeah. Or just relaxing and being in the vibration of like, I wonder, I had a moment last night where I was at this gathering and everyone was leaving around where I was. And I felt that kind of pressure to be like, well, I'm going to be the only person sitting here. That's kind of weird. And I had just this thought of just stay in your power and they'll come. And as soon as I like made that switch and shift in my mind, like everyone started to come to exactly where I was sitting. And those are the moments where you can use the feminine energy and the masculine energy to decide, okay, this is what I'm switching into. And the feminine is like receiving that intuition. So yeah, it's pretty freaking amazing what we can do as humans and what we can dream up and feel, experience. It's breathtaking. It's so amazing that you can just have a thought and have a feeling and conjure it out to the cosmos and create a whole experience and then be like, oh my God, I did it. Oh my God, this is all a dream. And you're just in that experience of creating, manifesting. Oh my gosh, I just thought about this person. They called me. Now it's 11:11 or whatever.
Yeah.
And just being in that cosmic fucking magical flow that we all have access to, that's always streaming, that's always running, and that's always available if you just slow down enough to feel it.
Yeah. No, for sure. Following all the synchronicities, it's
Yeah.
magical. And once you start like stepping in that, it's like you see them more and more, and the more you follow, it becomes like a game, that
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah. My life
exciting.
felt like that in a lot of ways, just following the intuitions and
Yeah. And the first times, there were moments in my life. Well, you, you don't always know what's going to come. You almost never know what's going to come next, but you're just trusting. And the first times it's like something big happening, you're like, oh shit, I don't know where I'm going to be in my life. Like, let's say like you're moving somewhere, you're like asking yourself all these questions and you're stressing about it. Like, fuck, what's going to happen? I don't know. And then the more that it happens, the more like comfortable you become with just following that flow
yeah.
and doing what you have to do on your side, because it's not about like just being a couch potato and be like, yeah, whatever, I'm eating chips and everything's going to manifest for me, because it does take a certain amount of action as well. But just like doing what you have to do and just trusting, and wow, it's magical what like we can create.
Yeah, man. I moved to New York with like 3 weeks. Once I had the intuition I was supposed to move, I didn't know anyone there, and everything manifested. And I didn't have that much money when I moved there. I traveled the world with like $120
What?
for like 3 months, and
That's awesome.
and had no money like going to come in. Like I didn't have anything scheduled where I was going to get paid the next day.
See, that's the definition of like complete trust.
Yeah.
And look at you. You're alive and you're
yeah,
happy. You're good to go.
I
Got
think
all
so.
your bones.
I got some bones.
Yeah.
And I made the decision to make this trip. I had a $300 credit card. I spent $180 on the flight, and then the next day I booked a client, and then the next day I flew out. And then there was a client that I gave a free session to 2 weeks before that lived in Berlin. I did a VIP day with her there. And the funny thing is I made more money than I ever had in my business in those 3 months. It was scary as fuck. And there was a moment where I spent a month in Germany, and then I was going to go to London for a month. And I had a client who said she was going to pay that day. And I had like fucking little to no money at this point. But when you just have that feeling like, yo, this person's about to ghost me. Like, I know they're not about to fucking pay me. And then you got to be awkward about it. Just kind of like, hey, were you going to send the PayPal? And so she didn't pull through. So then I channeled that anger that I felt onto a Facebook Live. I just felt inspired to. The day before the day that I was flying out to London, and I channeled that energy, and something told me to just click on who liked the video randomly. Then I saw this guy who I've known a little bit. I met him. He owns this wine company. Really awesome dude. Like something just told me to click his profile.
Gary V?
Said, oh, no.
Like fuck.
But he liked the video, and I saw on his status he was going to be in London. That's where I'm going. And he lives in fucking California. I met him in California.
Wow.
And I'm on this plane going to London. It's like a 45-minute hour flight. I'm writing in my affirmation journal. I'm like, I exude luxury and abundance with every step and breath I take. And, I got fucking $75 on me. About to go to a country for 30 days with no money scheduled in. So I get to Stansted Airport in London, and I'm low-key tripping because I'm like, are these dudes even gonna let me in? Like, they're tight asses here at the border. It was my first time in London. So he's like, how much money do you have? And I was like, $75. And I told a few little white lies. They put me in a timeout section by the border for a minute, and then I finally got through. I slept at the airport. I met another dude there, and I kind of helped him out with his life a bit. And then I spent 12 of the euros out of like my $50, which is like 15 US dollars, to get on a bus to the city. And full circle moment, money comes that day unexpectedly, like miracle flow. And my friend who owns the wine company, who like I barely know, invites me out to dinner like 2 nights. And it was like, $800 for 5 people type shit. You got the wine, you got the like snails, you got all that shit. And it was a reflecting moment when I was like, wow, I wrote that on my journal going on the plane. I exude luxury and abundance, not knowing how it was going to manifest. And it all happened. And then I had another moment when I was in London with my girlfriend at the time. Was like, do you want to book our tickets to Bali on Thursday? Because we were planning to go to Bali the next month. And I said, something in me just said, decide. And I said, yeah, let's do it. Even though I didn't have all the money, I had most of it. I swear, maybe 45 seconds, a minute after I check my Facebook messages, a guy reaches out to me and says, hey, you came up in my medium reading. You're supposed to help me with emotional stuff. And that Thursday, he became my client. And then, I had all the money I needed to go to Bali. And it was just so many amazing manifestation stories. But I really learned just that deep trust, like you said, when you go to just jumping and the net will appear. Sometimes you have to jump first. Some people wait for the money to come. They say,
the universe somehow loves that courage. When you take that jump of like that leap of faith, it rewards you, man.
Yeah. And so many people are waiting for the money to change. They're waiting on their circumstances. I had a time when I was like,
create the circumstances.
Yeah. When I was moving out of my house, like my family's place, I was like, shit, I don't have the money, but I was trying to wait for the money to leave. I was like, man, I just need to go now. And as soon as I decided to go, my friend who I met once was like, hey, I'm going to Italy. Can you watch my dog at my mansion in San Diego? And I was there for 2 months. And so I manifested a place to stay. And then I moved to New York. And that was a moment of like, you just have to trust. You can't always wait for the money to come. Sometimes you have to leap first, and then the money comes because you're leaping to where the money is vibrationally. And if you're in this vibration of I need to wait until the money comes, the money never comes. And then you stay in that circle. And then when you leap, you go to where the money is. You go to where the abundance is, because that courage is you being the abundance of yourself and acting on that inspiration.
Oh, yes, my man. Boom.
Yeah.
Mic drop. I'm not actually going to drop my mic right now. It's going to create a fucking clusterfuck.
Yeah, that wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be a good idea.
You know what I mean?
You metaphorically dropped the mic, though, for sure. I felt it.
That was a mental mic drop for sure.
Right. MMD.
Yeah. And I know what you're saying. Like whenever I travel solo, because when you travel solo, you're never really alone. At least I don't know if that was the case for you. You met people on your way.
Yeah.
Like same for me. I remember on my solo travels, I will always meet the right people at the right time. It was like so everything was like so perfect, man.
Yeah, man. You can't make some of this stuff up. It's just you trusting, and the universe helps you. The universe reflects back to you trusting yourself.
Sure, my man. Brother, moving into our last question.
Let's do it.
What do you think is your biggest strength or ability?
Comedy, making people laugh. Like that to me is the shit. I was out last night, like I said, at a gathering, and I was hanging out with someone, and him and I just had like the deepest belly laughs. And to me, that is just so fun, where you can just laugh with someone just so uninhibitedly and just fuck around and be silly, make jokes out of things. And yeah, that's my shit, comedy. And I love bringing that to people and just bringing laughter. And I think,
with comedy, you can oftentimes achieve much more than just like, if you're, let's say, just doing a podcast like I'm doing right now. With comedy, you can actually send messages to people in such a like perfect way. Just like, man, the biggest example right now that I have in my head that I've been talking about, JP Sears.
Yeah,
Look at all the messages he's sending through comedy.
for sure.
And
Yeah,
like other people, because there's been a lot of people that have been like censor or deplatform on
yeah,
YouTube, and this guy hasn't been, because I think YouTube doesn't really understand sarcasm, which is amazing.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, and whether it's podcasts like Joe Rogan, he has a huge platform and he impacts a lot of people. So I think, however you're inspired to share, like there's an opportunity to impact people deeply.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah,
But yeah, and especially in the spiritual world, like a lot of people take themselves too seriously.
my chakras aren't
Yeah,
aligned. I
like,
must look at the forest for 12 years to realign them.
exactly, and like I say, sometimes I just think about this and I'm like, hey, we're all monkeys here, in a flying rock. Like, chill
Yeah,
out, people.
we all got to enlighten up.
Yeah, sure. I mean,
You're like, what the fuck?
the fuck?
No, but like in like enlightenment, it's like lightening up,
Mm.
which is what comedy does, which is what laughing does. It's not taking yourself seriously does. Realizing it's all important, but none of it's important.
Oh shit! Yeah, and like it makes you lighter
Yeah,
and light. Oh, like light feelings.
yeah, and lighter, like different intuitions, different things.
Light as in light, and light as in like,
Yeah, like vibrationally.
you know what I mean? Light as
Uh-huh.
in the brightness,
Okay.
and light as in like weightless, like it
Yeah.
moves weight. Yeah, you understood
Oh,
that.
nice. You're bright and you're shining, and like the lighter you get, the more you shine.
Exactly. So it makes you
Mhm.
double light.
Fuck yeah, I like that.
Bam.
The double light. That's a mic drop.
That's another mic
Metaphorically, of
drop. Bam.
course.
There's been a lot. There's been a lot of mic drops.
Mm.
Brother, but actually one last question that I always ask everyone here in the
All right.
podcast. What's your best tip to make this world a better place? I just had to ask you that.
Take care of you first. Like, stop fighting everyone. Stop trying to change everyone. Take care of you, and everyone will change. Or your perception of them will change, and you'll realize they don't need to be changed. It's the biggest illusion people get into. I want to change my partner. I want to change this person. I want to fall in love with their potential and change them when we're in a relationship and make them better. It's just start with you, and you'll return to more wholeness. You'll be able to see things clearer.
Bam, bam. Double mic drop.
Let's go.
And on that double mic drop, I think we're going to end this, brother.
Yes.
It was such a pleasure to have you here.
Yes.
Much love
Likewise.
to you.
Yes.
And much love to everyone listening.
Woo!
Thank you so much for listening. And if you haven't done this yet, go get yourself a copy of my free ebook, The Thrive Method, a 6-step guide to naturally align yourself with your life mission, regain your power, and fully thrive, on my website, renzoruizhas.com. I'll put the link in the description below for you to check it out. Also, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Spiritual Warrior TV, and to follow me on Facebook and Instagram as Renzo Ruiz Has. I want to express once again my biggest gratitude for your support, and see you on the next episode. Much love.